Hey, what are you doing there? Oh, you know, just waiting for the next Nintendo Direct. You're staring at a wall. What's the difference?
Alright, look, when it comes to Nintendo, there's one giant rule every fan must acknowledge to survive in this community. You will never successfully predict Nintendo's next step. Trying to understand Nintendo's upcoming plans is like trying to teach a goldfish how to play the clarinet. It's just not going to turn out how you expect. One minute you have a crazy crossover fighting game released fairly recently, and the next there's an even bigger one ready to be released the same year it was revealed. You'll be hearing about vague yearly hints towards a beloved small franchise only to have it not appear in any announcements for at least another 4 years. You think you know all there is to know about Pokemon, but then no! Pikachu's a Pika-Cube now! And even though it seems we've almost got some kind of general Nintendo Direct pattern to follow with releases on January, March, June and September, you'd think there'd be another Direct about general Nintendo games, but nope! From the looks of things, no Direct January 2019. Will we get one in February? I certainly hope so, but I haven't got a clue, and neither does anybody else. So while there's been plenty of yearly predictions tossed around about Nintendo plans, I'm going to be popping up today with 5 things Nintendo won't do in 2019. Because there's nothing else Nintendo related to do other than stare at this wall. So Nintendo this year already has several big names in the running for a 2019 release, with Metroid Prime 4, mainline Pokemon, Luigi's Mansion, and Fire Emblem Three Houses. But surely they haven't already announced all the big stuff for 2019. From a marketing perspective, it just doesn't make sense to already have everything out on the table. So what somewhat large series could cause a bit of a ripple for Nintendo? Well, I'd say a new Paper Mario would fit that bill quite nicely, with the latest one coming out all the way back in 2016. But, as has been the case for the last 12 years, Nintendo just cannot get Paper Mario right these days. When it comes to the modern Paper Mario team, they've always pushed for gameplay gimmicks and literal paper themes. The days of the simple, story-focused Mario RPGs are out of the window for the Paper Mario franchise. And as much as we whine about the disappointment, Nintendo has always been this stubborn. The closest we'll get to a classic Paper Mario is a Thousand Year Door remake. Maybe. I'm pretty sure my nostalgic self would be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Otherwise, you can be sure that Nintendo will not be reviving the classic Paper Mario format. Regardless of your opinions on mobile gaming as a whole, it's undeniable that the mobile game market is immeasurably large, and even more so profitable. Marketing the public to buy a console to play your game is hard, but everybody has a phone. And with Nintendo's giant success with Pokemon Go, it's clear that this is going to be a huge priority. They've still got a ways to go to get their footing right after the unconventional approach of Miitomo and Mario Run, but Animal Crossing's Pocket Camp seems to be a step in the right direction. Plus, we know that Mario Kart Tour is said to be releasing real soon. Perhaps a game as universal as Mario Kart could be the next big Pokemon Go. Especially if it starts off free, fully utilizes online play, and maybe even gives us characters beyond Mario, a la the Mario Kart arcade games.
It is a tour after all, so maybe it's a Nintendo-y tour rather than an island one.
Plus, we know that Nintendo has set up many other IPs to take on the mobile market, so like it or not, Nintendo on your mobile device is here to stay. But don't worry, I'm sure it won't get too out of hand. Youch. Franchises like F-Zero and Golden Sun may seem like the ones with troubled histories of being neglected and forgotten, but Pikmin is far more traumatized, with its constant playing around only to be chucked away again and again. Like a worn, fragile teddy bear that really needs to be retired or fixed up already. Pikmin 3 released a whopping 6 years ago, and the notion of a mainline sequel has been on fans' minds since 2014. All that's known is that Miyamoto used to release vague little hints once a year until he was told to stop. A crappy Pikmin 3DS game was made, confusing people on Miyamoto's original hints even further, and all that's existed for a few years now is overthinking and word-by-word analyses. It's one thing to have to wait so long for a sequel. It's another to be anticipating an announcement every Direct thanks to a basis from within Nintendo. An announcement from Pikmin 4 is long overdue. I mean, January 2019 seems to have more people talking about Pikmin than all of 2018. People are hungry. But if you're as jaded as me for being such a long-time fan, then you'll find some solace in knowing that it's probably not going to release this year either. It may be announced this year, and it may be a 2020 release, but the chances of it being released this year is gonna be a solid no from me. Did you know? I'm participating in an online competition. I'm part of a comedy sketch group called The Biscuit Barrel, and we've signed up to upload a comedy web series over on Punkanary.com. We're doing fairly well, but need your help. If you could head over to our page and follow our show, you'd be supporting us and boosting our number of fans. If we get decent attention, then we'll get a screening at the BFI, as well as some connections with the BBC. It's a potential career in entertainment brewing. Plus, it's more comedy skit content for you to see. Give it a look. What's Nintendo gonna do at E3? You'll never guess it correctly. In 2013, they switched from a live stage like every other company to the digitalized Nintendo Directs. In 2015, everyone was a Muppet, and in 2018, over half the Direct was dedicated to Smash Ultimate. Will they show off a library of games like every other company, or do something completely different? Do they have anything to show that we don't already know? Is there some big Nintendo Switch extension to add? Or a new mini console? We cannot know any less as of right now.
Maybe there'll be a 20-minute segment on Luigi's new Poltergust.
Unlikely, but regardless, if there's one thing for certain, it's that most of the guys at Nintendo aren't too big on a physical stage. I'm sure you've seen footage of Wii Music at E3. It's pretty much shown on every Nintendo E3 video ever, along with Skyward Sword. And with last year showing us that the live performances from the big guys can be done on someone else's stage, I get the feeling that Nintendo will keep things direct and digital to its E3 audience. Doesn't mean we have any more of an idea of what they'll show and in what proportion. I personally am hoping for some crazy storyline, but just a normal direct wouldn't go amiss either. And before we hit number 1, here are some honorable mentions. They will not be making a Donkey Kong 3D. Donkey Kong has had an interesting history as a character, being the iconic villain, to a general Mario character, to being a newly rendered platformer, then 3D explorer, to playing bongos, fighting mini robotic Marios, and then back to platformer. And it seems with the success of the Donkey Kong Country series, I don't expect Nintendo to shy away from the format just yet. Then again, Funky Kong's become playable in the Switch port of Tropical Freeze, so there's not many Kongs left to play with. Maybe a Donkey Kong 64 sequel is closer than we think. I wouldn't get my hopes up though. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival was a travesty. When fans wanted Animal Crossing in HD, having it in the format of a boring, repetitive Amiibo cash grab was certainly not what people had in mind. Reviews were unfavorable, fans were angered, and Nintendo learned to never do that again. Perhaps stick to the more innovative and passionate. Make a new IP this year, not this waste of space. Chibi Robo was a tragedy. I don't think we'll be seeing Chibi Robo in any form this year, or any year. I think the little guy is gone. His 3DS game was like a cry for help and a stab in the back. It reviewed poorly, sold poorly, and the developers simply don't have the minds to go back to its classic roots as all the fans demand. He will live on as a Mii costume, but beyond that, the little guy will remain hidden and out of sight. And our final mention is gonna have to be Mother 3. Much like Pikmin 4, Mother 3 is just a concept fans have to accept will not be making an appearance as soon as liked. While Nintendo is very aware of the fans' adoration, they simply cannot do that big final step. You can get virtual consoles of the older games all you want, but Mother 3 is something Nintendo just doesn't seem to want to do, and 2019 is no exception. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild released almost 2 years ago already, and the second DLC pack released back in December of 2017, meaning Zelda has been off the radar for over a full year now. And a concept that many people brought up as a wish list was a new release of yet another 3D Zelda game using many of the assets of Breath of the Wild, a mimic of the 90s and the treatment of Majora's Mask after Ocarina of Time. And yeah, sure, I guess it is possible for Nintendo to go all out on that kind of format, but at the same time, it hasn't been done for 19 years. Plus, Ocarina's assets especially worked with the time-traveling gimmick. Breath of the Wild has a much more limited collection of models.
Apart from 5 extra dead characters.
Maybe they'll make the champions and descendants actually interact in the same room. But beyond that, there's not as much to work with for a mirroring game, I feel. On the other hand, the last handheld Zelda was Triforce Heroes in 2015 and Hyrule Warriors Legends in 2016. A solid 3 to 4 years of nothing. So if anything, I would say something of that variety is more likely to be brewing somewhere. Or I don't know, maybe this year-long break is holding on for a giant Breath of the Wild DLC 3 update. Who knows? Cause that's the thing, we outright just don't know. Nintendo's always been that way. They're a company that stands on the rules of being creative and standing out. Nintendo could practically pull out anything this year, we just don't have the means to perfectly predict it. But whatever happens, I sure hope it's something we can enjoy. I'm already pretty excited for the games we do know about. Hopefully I can be even more excited about the ones we don't.
Hey, did you just set up this whole video as a ruse to tell some actual predictions of yours for Nintendo's plans in 2019?
Yep.
I've been rused!
You have. You all have. I need a girlfriend.
Next time on Daz Reviews, will he find his one true love out there in the gaming world?
Personally, I think I'll just keep talking to his sock.
Hey guys, stop. I've never made anime references before. This is a weird place to start, you know.
Forget that, you've got a woman to meet.
What? It's not as simple as that. Hey, wait, where'd you find that footage? I don't
Next
remember
week,
recording that at
the
any
top
point.
10
What is
girlfriends
that
in
anyway?
video
I don't
games.
remember sitting
Title
there.
not
I'm not a
confirmed.
crying man. I don't cry. Thanks for watching. Tell me your thoughts on what you think Nintendo will or won't do throughout this next year. Do be sure to support me and the Biscuit Barrel on punkanary.com, link is in the comments. I've also reshuffled my Patreon a ton. If you pledge $1, you'll get access to a constant feed of behind the scenes progress on videos, as I post stories on my page. And for $3, you'll get videos a day early, as well as any bonus cut content like extra skits. Check out my Patreon for more details and rewards. I've also got a Twitter, Twitch streaming every Saturday, assuming my equipment isn't still broken, but should be long fine by now, and my second channel, Daz Let's Plays. I'm planning on scheduling my old streams onto it, as well as potentially just chill videos if I feel like making them. Feel free to check it all out. Otherwise, thank you to my patrons, thank you for watching me, hope you enjoy my other videos, and my name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.